Greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well today. Today I have some terrifying Dogman encounters to share with you. Before we get into these encounters, though, a couple links I'd like to share. As you know, I rely on my Patreon, my PayPal, and my merch store to help the channel to continue to grow and go. All of those links are in the description below. Also, Dogman Frightening Encounters, Volume 1, 2, and 3, the audiobook version. Written by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeffrey Nadolny, is available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes. The links to those are in the description below. Now, I've taken enough of your time. Let's get on with today's upload. Shall we? Today's first encounter. An Englishman is convinced the terrifying Dogman is no legend, but real, having been haunted by sightings of such a creature since he was a child. Colin Kelty, who says he's had run-ins with the Dogman, an enormous mythical creature thought to be dog-human hybrid, throughout his life. On October 4th, 1990, he was backpacking his way from East Hall to Hornsey, and came across a park in Hetfield. He was walking down the lane at about 8:30 p.m., with a full moon that lit the place up like daylight, when he spied something strange in the gap under the hedgerow. I kept looking at it, like, is it a cow? Is it a deer? Colin recalled. I thought it looked like its dog's back legs. But then I thought, hold on, where's its front legs? At that moment, a friend happened to be driving past and offered him a lift. And when he got in and looked back at the field, he could see this dog was standing there. I said, look, there's a dog standing in the gate hole. He just looked at me and said, Col, you're working a lot of hours. Get some rest. Colin went on. To be honest, I had nightmares after that. For years, I kept waking up. Not every night, obviously, but some months would go by, and I'd have another one. And the recurring nightmare is this thing jumping out of the gate and just ripping me to shreds. And I woke up screaming some nights with sweat. Even though I'm into that, I just couldn't believe what I saw. From then on, he became obsessed with going on solo expeditions to try to catch another glimpse of the creature, but kept it under wraps from his family until September of 2015. One morning, he was exploring some private woods when he found an enormous pile of poop, indicating a large creature had been in the area recently. And that was only the first strange thing. As I was coming to a stream, I thought, what's that smell? Oh man, it's putrid, really foul. Then I hear this big thud, thud, thud. I thought, what the heck is that? So I stopped, and this thing stopped. He assumed it was one of the men who work in the forest, so called out, but got no answer. He kept walking, and the thuds kept following him. All this time, the hairs on the back of my neck stood up. The smell was putrid. I got on all fours to see through the bracken. Then I got back up, and it got back up. I started walking slowly, and this thing was following me. Then I sped up, and it sped up. I thought, bloody hell, what is this thing? When I got to the end of the bracken, it bowed off to the right of me, and I was going to the left. When I got to the end, I just glanced over, and there's this, I don't know what the heck it was. I don't know what to say. It was huge, hairy. Why I thought it was a Dogman is because of the smell. Colin's convinced it was not a prankster wearing a costume because nobody knew I was going there. There were private woods. Nobody walks through there. He couldn't make out the creature's face. All I could see was a mass of hair. I wish I had gotten my phone out and took some pictures of it. What this large thing was, I don't know, but it was not human. I know that. Another thing was when I was going into the woods, you hear animals moving around. But just as I got in, everything went silent, like there was a giant bubble. It was really weird. It wasn't Colin's first sighting of the cryptid, having seen something twice as a child and again while walking out in Gothamland with his wife. About a half a mile into these woods, she said, "I'm scared." She said, "There's something up front we shouldn't see." I told her, "Stop being stupid," and she grabbed my hand, which was unusual at the time because we weren't getting on. But there was definitely something in these woods. And once we got out, you could feel the relief. It was really weird. That was another bubble. Colin's also seen strange things while out driving at night. But, says modern dash cams are ill-equipped to capture the lightning-fast creatures he's seen run in front of his car. Having been dogged by unexplained sightings of an enormous creature his whole life, he's still unsure of the truth behind it all. I like to think these things are real, but I'm open-minded about the supernatural, he explained. I do really think these things move about the country through the green belts, areas of untamed wilderness. I've had loads of stories of factories where there's a green belt out back and there's something gone crashing through, something large that we cannot explain, bigger than deer, massive and black. Only 30% of the UK's total land mass is urbanized, with the rest made up of farmland, marshes, and forest. There have been many reports of Dogman creatures fitting Colin's descriptions in Lincolnshire area as far back as the 1600s. Today's second encounter. A friend and myself were walking home around 3 in the morning, about 6 kilometers across the small town in New South Wales, from one friend's place to another, in which I was living at the time. We were only about a kilometer away from the house on about a 500-meter stretch of straight road. We were walking along on a sidewalk. He was pushing my BMX, and we're just talking shit as we usually did, when all of a sudden something caught our eye. 2 greyhound-looking dogs, but larger than your average dog in height, probably twice the size. They ran out of a block of flats, or apartments, whatever you guys call them in your part of the world, and jumped the brick mailboxes on the inside of the footpath on the other side of the road, which stood about 3 to 4 feet high. Both these dogs landed in the middle of the road, then ran in the opposite direction in which we were walking. As they ran further away, they grew larger and larger in size. While they grew larger, they seemed to begin to stand up on their hind legs and morph into some muscular Bigfoot or werewolf-looking creature. In my mind, I really couldn't comprehend what I was seeing. These creatures ran around the corner in the exact direction we walked from, and about 5 to 10 seconds after they turned the corner, we heard what sounded like a female child scream. At that point, we just looked at each other, and I could tell he saw what I saw, as he was about to haul ass and bail on me on my bike. I said, "Fuck that," and jumped on the handlebars. He pedaled like I've never seen before. I don't think he skipped a pedal for the whole rest of the trip home. We got home, we locked the doors and closed the windows. I asked him to explain what he saw, and, no surprise, it was exactly everything that I witnessed. He was Indigenous Australian, as was his elder brother. We explained the experience to him, and he said it was probably a Yahweh, which I believed at the time, but this story is not your typical Yahweh sighting in Australia. Safe to say, this scared me to go out at night for a while. We told a few people about the experience afterward, but most of the time people just laughed or joked that we were on drugs or brought up the hairy man while drinking. But I can assure people reading this was a completely sobering experience. We hadn't drank or done any drugs. After the joking and carrying on, pretty much, I kept the story to myself, only telling a select few people who want to hear paranormal stories. And I don't try to convince anyone it's real or not. They can decide for themselves. But I know what I saw. Today's third encounter. Last year during the fall, I went camping in Pilot Knoll Park, Texas. I went to bed around 11:30 and woke up a couple hours later, roughly around 2:30, because I had to go to the bathroom. On my way back, I hear a noise and I look around. I see a creature squatting on a tree branch. From the quick glimpse, I saw it had reddish eyes and dark color. I was pretty scared, so I ran back to the tent and stayed still until I fell asleep. When I woke up, me and my friends packed up and left. I've seen it twice after this experience. Once in the forest near my house, where it was standing in the distance. I saw it upright, with its head hunched over, and once more at Pilot Knoll again, where I noticed it had 2 claws on each hand and foot. My friend claims that he saw it once when hunting, where he claimed it had hung out around his truck. He says he saw 2 tiny things protruding from the top of its head. My friends started calling it Red-Eyed Man, also the Knoll Man. That's all I've seen of this thing and all I know. I don't know if it has feathers, fur, scales. I don't know if it's got sharp teeth or flat teeth. If you know anything about the Knoll Man or anything, let us know. Today's fourth encounter. I'm not the best writer, so please bear with me. I'm a male from Australia. I'm 29 years old. This happened in March of 2015. I woke up one night because something was hitting my bedroom door. I had a small nightlight on beside my bed. I was on my stomach and raised myself up, keeping my pelvis on the bed looking at the door. It was dark, being the opposite side to the light. I thought I saw movement and was trying to adjust my eyes to the light. I felt my bed move, and I looked to the right. There was this reptilian lying on the bed next to me. It had green and brown scales all over it, smaller around its nasal area and large on its forehead. 2 small holes for its nose, no lips, but there was a mouth. It had 3 or 4 long, skinny black fingers, similar to claws. The eyes were so intense, I could tell it was very intelligent, a little bigger than a human's, glowing yellow with red vertical slits. It's hard to put it into words how intense the eyes were. It had 3 or 4 inch long fingers. I straight away knew it was a female. I have no idea. I just knew maybe it was the small jawline or the shape of its head. I remember thinking, is this a demon? I strangely felt calm. It had control over my emotions and something because otherwise I would have been shitting bricks. It telepathically told me it was an alien, but it was in my voice. I had control over my body after we had locked eyes. It just looked at me for what felt like a long time, but probably was only a minute. It seemed like it was reading my soul. I started getting scared when it started intentionally trying to scare me. It opened its mouth extremely wide, exposing its sharp teeth. I think it was feeding on my endorphins or something. I blacked out. I'm not sure if it put me in a deeper trance or if it was just from shock. I don't know for how long. I came to and vaguely remember it saying it had to leave, again in my voice. It had a hold of my hand under the bed. I was still on my bed, but my arm was softly being caressed under the bed. I pulled back my arm. I was too scared to move after until sunrise. I haven't seen it since. I've only ever told one other person, and that was someone on the internet. I haven't told any friends or family. I don't want the stigma of seeing an alien, if you know what I mean. Today's fifth encounter. Just for some backstory, we're from Ontario. Anyway, me and my buddy, we are in North Ontario. They call this up north. but we are way past from where I'm from. And we're canoeing. A friend and I. It's so quiet, no birds, nothing. Then I tap my friend on the shoulder and say, "Do you see that? Look above us. Don't say anything." This was only about 40 feet above us. You could see every detail of these things, and they were thunderbirds. And they had beaks on them or were at least 3 feet long. The wingspan, it looked like they were small planes. They all flapped their wings at the same time, and you could hear this swish noise. One thing I didn't want to do was make any noise, just in case they saw us and came down at us. I started seeing so many things. I bought a very expensive video camera, and this one particular night I didn't bring it, of course. Anyway, I was coming home from a friend's place. It was about 11:30 at night. I wasn't drinking anything. We were just drinking coffee. I thought it was a child. I thought. What's going on is 11:30 at night, and this thing is walking dead ahead of me to the right on this country road. So I drove up, and no, this is a little furry guy walking perfectly straight. He was covered in fur from his head to his toes, with small ears. The reason why I saw him so well is I drove right up to him. I had my high beams on with these spotlight things I had. I could see it perfectly, and I kept bumping it with the truck, not hard to hurt it, but I wanted him to turn around so I could see its face. It wasn't scared at all. I bumped it 4 or 5 times, enough to make it turn around, and finally it did. If you ever saw a mouth of teeth like this thing had, it didn't just have a row of teeth, it had 2, then other ones sticking out, and cat-like eyes. It started to walk off of the road. Now, there were no ditches, no shrubbery, nothing. There was a farm near there with a big red farmhouse or whatever. It started walking off the road and into a portal. Not like the portals you see on that show Atlantis. I couldn't see any ripples or anything. This thing just walked straight through, right into nothing. Right away, I jumped out, opened the door, and thought, do I go in and see what's in there or what? I thought, no, I better not, because it's a baby. Then I started thinking, if this creature is that large, being a juvenile, then how big are the parents? They must be massive. Even this one, I was driving an all-wheel drive GMC van, and its shoulders came up to about the top of my truck. Today's 6th encounter. While guarding an ammunition depot near a freight train, a military guard observed a strange figure, about 1.2 meters in height, black in color, that was moving over the train tracks in a very quick and agile manner. The 2 guards approached the figure and pointed their rifles at it. It suddenly turned around, stared at the 2 men with 2 large, bright, red glowing eyes. It jumped up into the darkness and disappeared. Other soldiers at the base have had similar figures around the same time, and strange objects overhead had been reported. One night, in the same base, a soldier was given the task to guard a metallic cage, which contained a weird reptilian creature that emitted strange guttural sounds. One night, while standing duty, a dark helicopter landed and 3 military personnel exited the craft. He proceeded to pick up the cage with the humanoid and left immediately. The guard described the humanoid as resembling a reptilian penguin with strong jaws and claws. It was about 40 centimeters in height. The guard observed the helicopter lacked any identifiable markers. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed today's upload. I apologize for not putting any historic one out last night. I really wanted to, but I really felt like I was dying yesterday. So anyway, chances are we will have another historical upload tonight. And yeah, I just hope you enjoyed this Dogman and Reptilian strange creatures. These are some of my favorite. I love stories like what I did today. So have a great day, guys, and I'll talk to you later. Thanks for always tuning in and always supporting me. See ya!